guys, and welcome to another episode of the Alpha Male Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Heather Krause.
And I'm the other host, Gregg Krause, her father. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, and today we kind of wanted to take a break from talking about, diet, lifting, things like that, and kind of go in a different direction with something we think is equally as important, and that is mindset. So, because we do think that that is a really important pillar of being an alpha male, to have that alpha male mindset, I think that makes people stand apart. Would you agree? I think
Yes.
that's kind of the the vibe of our podcast is I think mindset almost over everything, because the mindset is what, you know, makes you get your diet in order and get you the discipline and, get you in the gym and
It allows you to do things. I know people always ask me how long I've been lifting weights, and it's been 61 years.
yeah, which is a long time.
And they say, how do you stay motivated? And it's one of the things I always tell people, whether they're clients of ours or people that just come up to ask questions, it's I try to beat the guy in the mirror. I'm not trying to beat Mr. Olympia. I'm trying to beat the guy in the mirror that I see every day, and not just take for granted that I'm going to keep everything I've worked for. And it forces you to work just a little bit harder to be able to improve and increase in what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. And I think too, when you have, you use yourself as motivation and you keep trying to beat yourself, you, in a weird way, you have more control over that because, if you're trying constantly to beat somebody else, it's like you don't know what they're doing. You don't even know if you're on a level playing field as them. You don't know the sacrifices they're making, or you don't know all the stuff that makes up them getting there. And I think some people too can kind of get okay, for instance, if you take somebody that, is training for the Olympia stage, and that is their whole life. They don't have kids, they don't have a family, they don't go out a lot, they don't have a lot of friends.
Their contract is lifting weights.
Yes. And somebody, is using them, that's great. But if that person that's looking up to them, which by all means, have your idols and stuff, but when it comes to comparing yourself with somebody or trying to beat them or, stay competitive, it's like if your dream also includes, though, having a family, going out with friends, all of that, you're never gonna be comparable. You're it's apples and oranges.
Right. But once again, that's where you always want to try to beat yourself to improve. I mean, I would laugh nowadays. You turn on your computer, you could get 200 different workouts, see all the top level people, be it a male, female, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Where back in the old day, we used to go to the drugstore, the corner store that had magazines. So every month you'd get a new Muscle Development or Iron Man magazine. Couldn't afford to buy it, but you could page through it so you could tell all of them were quite well read by the time you pulled it off the magazine shelf to look. But that was once a month, and they'd have still shots. But once again, that was very motivating to look at and dream about being able to do something like that.
Well, you also had to have a good memory because, nowadays, you can just whip your phone out and take pictures of the magazines. You'd have to take a pen and paper to write them down, or you'd have to remember them. That's crazy to think now.
You remembered them for sure because you studied every little thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, so with that though, competing with yourself, which I think is important, but I also think another branch, I'm going to kind of go in a different direction because I think, competing with yourself can also kind of go in this other direction, is how to overcome obstacles. I just think, I don't know, it's interesting to me in life when you look at, because hardships will happen to everybody, like in different variations, different degrees, some are crazy. There's, you know, health, job, family, you name it. There's all kinds of obstacles in life.
Kids.
Kids, yes. And I just think you're a really good example of, you have had many, like when it comes to health, many things to overcome that some of them are crazy. Like some of them were like typical, like football injuries, bodybuilding injuries, but some were very unexpected and some were very serious. So you had how many stints put in when you were like
Well, back,
50?
yeah, 20 some years ago, I had 2 stunts put in just out of the clear blue. I wasn't feeling good, and they looked, but I've been fine ever since then. I think it was just a matter of cleaning up my diet a little bit more.
But also you got like really sick, and like when this was when like West Nile was like a big thing. And I remember you got hit with that and they never told you that it could have like attacked your heart too. So like
Right.
there was things like out of your control that happened that contributed to that, which caused the blockage. And you had, was it 280% blockages or something? Was that what it was?
I believe one was 90 something. But, once again, had a good doctor back then. And it was just from me trying to, with being sick and still trying to push through it and work out. I think it just beat my body up
Yeah, because
too much. It wasn't recovering.
and you were getting ready for a bodybuilding show, like the Nationals, I think, when this was found. So, that put like a damper on.
And teaching and coaching football and
Yeah.
raising 3 children.
So there's a good two example of what stress can do, because I'm sure that was like stressful in a good way, but that's another thing I think people don't realize. Just a little side note is stress doesn't always come from something that you hate. It can be a hectic lifestyle that you could love. It's just chaotic, and that does put a stress on your body.
Matter of fact, one of my old training partners, Mike Fursey, who we are going to have on as a guest one of these days, with everything he's involved in now. But him and I used to train together. He owned the gym, Club Olympia out in Westlake. And he used to laugh because after school I would drive out there. I would stop at McDonald's, buy a cup of black coffee, pull up in front of the gym, honk. He'd wave out the window, saying he knew I was there. And I would fall asleep for 20 minutes, get up, and I was ready to rock and roll, and we'd go work out. He'd always laugh at how I could fall asleep after drinking a cup of coffee. But once again, from the 45, 50-minute drive
Yeah,
from where I taught
he
at
taught far
Amazon.
away from this gym.
But once again, you can do whatever it is you want to do if you want it bad enough.
Absolutely. But so going back, so like you could not work out like for your heart thing for it, like you had to get cleared by a doctor. And I remember like they cleared you to lift weights. I think you were allowed to lift like 5 pounds. So you were doing bench presses with like 5 pound dumbbells in the family room, like as soon as you were told that. That's not how everybody handles a setback. And then, okay, so you had that and you came back better than you were before that. And so then you had your throat thing, which, to give a little background on, was crazy, way crazier than the heart thing. And I know you don't remember a lot of it, so we're going to start.
One thing I'm going to back you up on, and this is, once again, this is just my own experience. When I had the 2 stints, they tried to get me on blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine, and everything else. So I started doing some research on some natural supplements that help improve all those. So something like niacin, non-flush niacin, opens up your blood vessels. So I did that. My blood pressure went down. With the cholesterol, I once again, with cleaning up the diet just a little bit, and taking in the good omegas. All that improved drastically. And I laugh and I'll leave the doctor nameless. They did all my blood work and they said everything was fine. And before that, they asked me if I was taking all my medicine, and I said yes.
Would
I
you lie?
lied.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they looked at everything and said it was fine, I go, Doc, by the way, these are the supplements I was doing. I was not using your medication. His mouth opened up and he just said, keep doing what you're doing then. And I said, thank you very much. And I'm not telling you this to not listen to your doctors, but I'm saying you know your body better than anybody else does. So don't be afraid to research, talk to other people, and try some different things and see.
Yeah, like be in control of your health. Don't let a doctor be in control of it because you're putting your health in somebody else's hands. And like, don't get me wrong, you I think too many people allow the doctors to control their health as opposed to using them as avenues to get information and then making their own determination, which I mean, that's what like I guess if you wanted to build a deck on your house, you would bring a builder over and you would ask them, and like you're not just going to take whatever they say as like gospel. You're going to take it in consideration, be like, okay, let me, like decide like. But when it comes to people's health, it's like they just listen to the expert, and that's all. They don't listen to different experts. They don't get other opinions. They don't.
Right, and there's a lot of great doctors out there. We go to some great ones, but they don't shove pills down our throats. They give us a lot of alternative medicines.
Yeah.
And once again, you got to realize, and I am not telling you something you probably don't already know, money makes the world go round. And all those fancy offices they have and everything else usually costs quite a bit of money. And sometimes the pharmaceutical companies make the doctor give out so much medicine. And I'm not saying that with every doctor, but I'm just saying be careful when all they want to do is shove stuff down your throat and not tell you how to improve to get off the medicine.
Absolutely, because it's just putting a band-aid on symptoms. And also, I mean, everybody listens to the long list of side effects that they like hurry up and say at the end of every like pharmaceutical medicine commercial. It's insane. They're like, you can be happy and like whatever, and this will go away. And then it's like, by the way, side effects are suicide, like heart attack, stroke.
Right, and they say those really quick so that you hope you don't hear them. And by the way, I guess just as a side note on this, when I had to go through radiation that they wanted me to go through for 6 weeks, one of the things they said was I was going to get severely burned. And they gave me some generic stuff you could buy over the counter. Well, Heather here came up with doing some research and came up with all these essential oils to mix together. And I would put it on after every radiation treatment, and I would put it on again before I went to bed at night. The clinic was amazed that I didn't have any burns at all. And when I said, would you like to know what I used? And then when I said it was a mixture of essential oils, they said, oh, thank you very much, but we're okay. And I was a little disappointed why they wouldn't want to know something better.
Yeah, and that's all natural.
People, yeah.
Well, and also, if anybody is out there that is, going through radiation and going through burns, I am more than happy to, share my little recipe with you because it
worked.
It's all natural. It's essential oils and carrier oils. And the thing is, like the stuff that they gave to you, when you were going through it, like the generic stuff, that has crap in it. That has chemicals. And like, that's the last thing. The whole cancer comes down to like your body's inability. It's an immune issue and a detox issue. And why would you put more chemicals on somebody that is going through something like that? You want to eliminate that. And that's why I decided to, figure out, because it makes something with skin benefiting properties to help heal. And it's like, duh, that's common sense. And I think a lot of people give too much credit to the, medical field. Like, well, if there's something, they just assume that the doctors would be giving you the best thing possible. When it's not the case, they give you what is tied to a pharmaceutical rep because that's all they have time to do. The doctors are very pressured nowadays,
Right.
and their margins get smaller, and that's why your doctor's appointment's only like 5 minutes long. And so their information is only what the pharmaceutical companies can give them. So no, they don't have time to go on the internet and go, scrounge around on different forums trying to figure out what oils are good for people's
Right.
skin.
And one thing that Heather just mentioned, one of the doctors that Michelle and I and our kids all go to, he's down in the Columbus area. Our appointments, the shortest one we've ever had with him was an hour
Yeah.
because he's there for you and to listen to what you have going on and to offer you suggestions and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So if your doctor has you in there for 10 minutes and he's rushing you out, you may want to ask him, hey, why? I still have more questions.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, just a little trick that Michelle and I and the kids all do. We type up all our questions before we go to see them.
Yeah.
This is any doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And we make copies for ourselves. We hand it to the doctor. So this way, he could go right down the list and answer all the questions. So this way, they can't get us out the door in 10 minutes.
And I think a lot of people are afraid to ask doctors questions. And I'm like, you're paying them. Like, they are providing you a service. And if a doctor, well, I went to this vet for my dog even, and I'm asked, like, they diagnosed him, which was completely wrong, by the way. And this is when my dog, little side story, ate a highlighter cap. He's a 4-pound Pomchi. Not the whole cap, but chewed off a large portion of it. I couldn't find it, but I didn't have concrete proof that he swallowed it. And he had stomach issues every couple months. Like, he was yelping. And I go to one of the times I went to the vet, and I'm like, is this his highlighter cap? And they're like, no way. And it turned out to be highlighter cap. But anyway, so they diagnosed him with something. And I'm like, but wait. And then they just give me medicine, and they like go to walk out. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I want to know, like, what, are you positive that this is what it is? How are you determining it is what it is? Because, like, then another, like, vet appointment that because this went on for a whole year. I was in and out of the vet with him, and they couldn't figure it out. And he was diagnosed with all kinds of issues when really it was a highlighter cap. But anyway, another time I went and they diagnosed him with pancreatitis. And of course they gave me meds, and they were going to like send me off. And I said, wait a second though, like, how are you determining he has pancreatitis? Like, what is the test?
That's why the moral of the story is ask questions and make sure they can answer it for you.
Yes, because
otherwise they're assuming something and you're hoping they're correct. That this is why, whether it's
absolutely
one of your pets or yourself, you need to have this answered by your doctor and why they think it's that.
Yeah, because so when I asked them, they're like, because this test shows that pancreatic enzymes are high. And I said, okay, well, how high? Well, the test doesn't say what the number is. It just says low or high. Okay, so now I'm like, I got at least that part of the question. And so then I'm Googling what can cause high pancreatic enzymes. Well, a blockage can cause it. So then I'm like, he doesn't have pancreatitis. He has a freaking blockage. And I will tell you, though, be prepared when you start to ask questions, because you're going to start to realize you're going to start to have maybe a little less faith in doctors, because you're going to realize how much stuff is based on assumptions, and you're going to go, wait a second. And you're going to realize that also that's not a lot of doctors. Again, like, there's good doctors and there's bad doctors. And the bad doctors want to get you out of there, and they don't want to answer questions because a lot of them don't know the answer. When they just know, like, step one, it's like when you call a customer service hotline and they're like, do you have an issue with your service? And then if you say, like, yes, then they go down and they say, okay, yes. Is there a green light blinking, or is there not a green light blinking? And, like, they just follow the flow chart, and then they hand you a pill at the end.
Yeah, and this is why, once again, we have come to know it's very important for them to explain to us why.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be the same for you, whatever it is. Because you're paying good money, and that's your life you're talking about.
Well, and so,
Because,
no, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say in my own case, which I do blame myself. I believe the hospital we were going to when they told me I had throat cancer, and it turned out it wasn't. But the radiation caused me to get it,
Mm-hmm.
which once again put me in the situation I'm in now. And hey, I know mistakes happen and everything else, and that's why I'm taking some blame too, where I should have gotten a second opinion. But I assumed they knew what they were doing because this was all foreign to me. But once again, that's the moral that we're trying to get across to you guys. With being in charge of your life,
Yeah.
you gotta ask them why. Why is it this? Why isn't it that? And you better be able to explain it to me, because if not, I'm going to see somebody else. And I wish I would have did that before.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. But this is what we're trying to get across to you guys. Take charge of your own life. Don't assume that they're looking out in their best interest. Because remember, just like all of you guys, you go to work from 9 to 5. And when you leave, you're going home to do whatever. They do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it may involve your life. And they're in a hurry to get out of there and not maybe give you the total explanation that you need, or maybe they overlooked something. And that's why it's important you take charge of your life and make sure you get the answers. And if not, go knock on another door and ask them.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you might have no medical knowledge. And again, like, I mean, we're kind of gearing this toward like health stuff, but like,
boy, did we learn a lot about cancer.
Oh,
now we get
crazy.
phone calls all the time from people. And my wife, Michelle, and Heather, and our other kids are all happy to answer and steer people in different directions, which I wish I would have had back when I was going through all this. But hey, it is what it is, and maybe that's why it's our calling, so to say, now to put stuff out there for
I
people.
definitely believe, everything happens for a reason. And like, guys, we're talking even at like what would have helped us and prevented, I believe would have prevented his whole throat issue is like the doctor said, you have cancer, and even asking, well, why do you think it is cancer? Like, what makes you say that? And because I think a lot of the times you're led to believe something is black and white, and what we learned is that it's not. It's not. When you look under the microscope on cells, like when you get a biopsy, the cancer cells don't have little flags saying cancer, and it's like, oh, they're cancer. It's somebody's opinion. And if you get, I mean, we all know enough idiots out there that their opinion, is crazy. In that, you can end up with whoever, what is it called? The pathologist that decides it. If you get a shitty pathologist, they're making a call. Like,
or they're in a hurry because they got to leave.
Or they didn't look, like they looked at something real quick, or they got you mixed up with some, I mean, anything can happen. So even asking, like, explain to me why you think that, because had we done that, and then the doctor, I won't even say if it's a girl or a boy, like, if that doctor would have went to explain, and then we say, wait a second, so it's not for sure, we could have gotten a second opinion. And even on that,
before I went and did the radiation.
Because we were thinking that like that part is black and white, and maybe the second opinion is like, how do you correct it? Even the diagnosis is a black and white. And I think too, a lot of times, even with tests, and I mean, we're going in a whole different direction than I thought in this what we were going to do in this podcast, but again, the more questions you ask, the more you realize that a lot of the diagnoses aren't black and white. And it's an opinion, and a lot of it is based on different figures where you can get a line of 10 doctors and they can interpret those like blood markers very differently.
Right, and one thing we found out is a lot of other countries treat cancer in a lot different ways, and they have things that they don't allow over here in the United States. And I know what people are going to say, well, then it's not sanitary or whatever. That is incorrect because it's from very developed countries that treat it completely differently, and a lot of people leave the United States to go have that done. But once again, we don't want to make this a cancer video. We're just using it as an example. And getting back on topic.
Yeah, so like this is going to actually segue. We'll just segue back.
Right.
So like
where it's when you have a setback, how to overcome that.
yeah, so like if you take control, we'll kind of like somehow tie this all in. Like sometimes no matter how much you try to take control of your life, stuff happens. So when that happens, and I do want to just touch a little bit more on your situation so people understand that when this happened, you were in and out of ICU 5 times, taken by ambulance, coded once, and got down to 150 pounds. And throughout this whole thing, and went through, like a crazy 13-hour surgery.
And usually I weigh around 210-ish.
Yeah, so a lot of weight. And that was within a month this happened. And maybe a month and a half.
Heck of a diet if you want to lose weight.
Yeah, don't recommend. And I think we all lost a lot of weight during that time with stress and not eating. But anyway, so you got back over 200 pounds by Thanksgiving. You had your surgery in late June or July?
Into June.
Okay. And by November, you were up and you were on a feeding tube for 7 weeks. And which, so you have that hardship and you couldn't lift, obviously. Like you couldn't just jump back in physically. Like there's a lot, you had to overcome from that standpoint. Yet you were back like nothing happened, except obviously you had the throat. And 2, you had to talk with a horrible device that was like a straw that made you, it was really hard to understand. Yet you still coached football through that.
One thing that was amazing, people that were in their 40s, 50s on up had a hard time understanding me with that straw thing. But my football team, the younger kids, and I think it's because their hearing is better, they understood me with no problem whatsoever.
I do think that was funny.
Yeah, so, once again, you learn new things as you go along through life.
Yes. But so like, I just think like all of that, okay, a lot of people would not, and you were like right after your surgery, you were up doing laps around the hospital.
Yeah, but this was during COVID too.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about that. It was in 20, like COVID was still a thing, but it wasn't at its height. Thank God, because I just think a lot of shenanigans went on in the hospitals when COVID was at its peak. So I'm very grateful that you gave us like an extra year or 2 because it would have been definitely stressful because our family does not take no for an answer very well. And I don't think we would have taken.
Yeah, my wife definitely made sure everything was on the up and up, which I thank her dearly for.
Yeah, like we were, because I remember, we were only allowed to have like 2 people in your room at a time. And we didn't, I mean, some people might agree with this or not. I think people should be surrounded by their loved ones when they're going through something. It helps you recover better, all of that. You should be surrounded by laughter. You should not be like lonely, depressed in a hospital. And so.
I would agree.
Right?
It was nice having everybody there.
Yes.
Even though I slept through part of it.
Yes. But and I mean, there's a lot of studies on that that's like very proven. So again, another thing where we take control, we don't enjoy breaking rules, but when it comes to our loved ones and if it's going to make somebody feel better, sorry, sorry, not sorry. We really don't give a shit about rules. And so we were in there in groups of 6 or 7.
You guys bent the rules.
Yes. And we shut the door and made sure nobody saw us and didn't disturb anybody. But that part, so like, I don't even know where I was. So, it's because you were doing laps right after your surgery, and you're not even supposed to really be up. And then they were amazed because not only did you do a couple like the day after, you were doing like 80 laps around the hospital like this day too. As soon as you kind of got like,
There was nothing good on TV.
yeah. But what I think is important to talk about is how are you, like, what advice do you have to give? Like, what makes you be able to overcome like multiple obstacles and just keep going? Because a lot of people would get frustrated and just stop.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Today, I trained one of our clients. She's a competitive figure girl, and she did legs with me today. And when we were doing legs, her phone went off, and it was some people that she goes over and helps. They have two handicapped kids, 20, and I think the other one was 14. Though disease they have, the life expectancy, they have surpassed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they were in all kinds of braces and everything else. And I just looked at them, and I looked at when I had a lift on the leg press, and I thought, this is a piece of cake compared to what they have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess part of it is I always look and think, hey, I don't want to go woe is me, because there's people that have it a lot worse off
Yeah.
than we all do. And I thank God every day that He gives me the ability to do and try different things and keep going. And I don't always feel like $1,000,000, but then again, who does? And the thing of it is, you find out after you're done and you push through it that you're capable of doing a lot of things. So I was very thankful that her phone went off and she showed me those pictures, because it was like, wow, I don't have anything even close to what they have.
Yeah.
This is nothing. And that's what I guess when I look at other people, and I always call it shuffle at the gym, where you see a lot of mid-elderly people on in the elderly, where they're all stooped over as they're shuffling through into the trying to get back into shape. So to me, it's like, don't let yourself get out of shape.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you can do every day. Just try to do a little bit, and somehow it all adds up to being quite a bit.
Yeah, but like also though, like I like to go a step further though. Like so many people like for like okay, when you had like your heart thing, you were not supposed to like the doctor would have recommended you not, bodybuild anymore. You kind of like that's where you hang your hat. You're kind of done and you're not expected to like live this active lifestyle or even okay like with what you went through.
Well, once again, that was because I was sick. That had affected my heart.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
that's why.
But what I'm saying though is like so many people kind of I think they allow what somebody else's opinion is going to be. So like for instance too like when you went through your throat thing, like you're not supposed to bounce back and all of that. Like that's not what the doctor would like. The doctor didn't say, "Oh, don't worry, you're going to bounce right back. You're going to gain all this weight back and you're going to keep bodybuilding." It's like, "Oh, okay." Like you'll be okay. And like I think so many
Well,
people take that. So like how would you
I, I
advise
guess
somebody?
the answer is, just like all of us, every day you have many voices telling you what to do. The one voice in your head, and some of you have more than one voice
Yeah.
in your head. Sometimes I do. But then you have the people you surround yourself with. And to me, I've always tried to surround myself with positive people. And I've always tried to be positive with all the kids I've taught over the years for 35 years teaching. And it always amazes me. I had a birthday not too long ago, and I had a lot of birthday wishes on Facebook from kids I have taught over the years. And some of these kids are over 60 years old now. And the things they remember from what I taught them amazes me that it did stick with them, which goes back to what we're talking about. Surround yourself with positive people
Yeah.
for what you're trying to do. Because if you're always around people that go, oh, don't do that, you're going to get hurt. It's just like Mom and I encouraged you three guys to go out and try different things. And I mean, we're there, and I mean, we didn't have you do anything stupid, but it was just like, don't be afraid. You know, you could go and step into the water, and you don't need to hold my hand. I'm here, but you could go do that. And I think that's what's important because, you know, I hate to say it this way, but nobody knows when you're checking out of this place.
Yeah.
So you better enjoy it because when you make it upstairs, he's going to go over your statistics. They better be good ones. So that's why I want to make sure, you know, you live life to the fullest and don't let people tell you what you can or cannot do. You could get their opinion.
Yeah.
But you got to filter through all that because, you know, once again, I've had doctors that have told me, oh, no, you better not do that. And I've had other doctors that go, hey, sounds good. You thought that through. Go ahead and go for it. And that's what I would tell you to do. And that doesn't mean go out and run a 26-mile marathon. That means put your tennis shoes on, walk up to the corner, and walk back. Today, tomorrow, walk 2 more sidewalk blocks and come on back. And keep adding to it. Because before you know it, you'll be walking 26 miles, and then you can put the jog to it because you've slowly built yourself up for that. And that's like anything that you want to accomplish in life. That's what you have to do. I mean, I was lucky enough to win my pro car with the IFPB. It took me many years. I didn't give up. I kept improving and everything else, and luckily, everything fell through. But that isn't my greatest accomplishment to me. It's being married and having kids and being able to go out and people come up and they want to talk to you and everything else. But that's where you got to just, once again, keep pushing yourself and don't make excuses. And if you don't accomplish it that day, that's why they made tomorrow, where you could get out there and try again.
Oh, I definitely agree with everything you said. And I think, like you said, you know, you can ask somebody's opinion, but I would, I guess, like, be careful when you ask somebody's opinion on what kind of mindset you're in, too, and who you're asking.
Right, and don't give them, there's an old cartoon for you older people, remember this, Mr. Wizard.
I don't know who that is.
I know you wouldn't, but it was with the turtle, and I forget who the wizard was. But anyway, don't give too much power to somebody you ask something for. They are just another person like you that has their opinion. So don't go by what they say is gospel and everything else doesn't matter. Listen to them, process it, talk to somebody else, do some research, and keep seeing if everything lines up in that direction. But I think too many times, and this is why I've always, when I coach, luckily I've never been a holler guy. I call you over by me and I'll say, what the heck are you doing? You're better than that. Why? Why did you not hit the hole right? Or why did you let that guy get behind you if you're playing defense? Where, once again, it's positive reinforcement. Because too many times I think people just let the negative stuff in.
Yeah.
And then they're so beat up, whether it's a child, whether it's a teenager, whether it's an adult. You got to have something positive going on to be successful at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whatever you choose you want to do.
I definitely agree. And I think too, like if I think what's important is being able to really believe that something is possible or and like visualize it, and you might not know, in detail how it's going to happen, but just to have like a picture and what you're kind of going after, because it's like I think it's like the 4 mile or 4 minute mile. It like the story is that nobody could beat the 4 minute mile, like break it, and then all of a sudden one person did, and then all of a sudden the next year like 10 people did, and it's like they didn't get better drugs. Like all of a sudden these magic drugs came out or better training. It was just that all those 10 people that, did it after that one person saw that it was possible. And I think a lot of people, they rely on other people to tell them what's possible when you should be telling yourself what's possible because you could be the first one. Like, I'm sure you're the first one that one doctor saw that went from 150 pounds, got on a feeding tube for 7 weeks, and then magically ended up over 200 pounds lifting again and was fine. That's foreign to that doctor because when you get an opinion on something, you're basing like what that person said, like, or that person is basing it off of what they've experienced in life. So if you're asking them, do you think this is possible? And they say no, that's not the answer in the universe. Is this ever possible? That's just all that person knows.
Right. And I go back to, and once again, this is no slam on the nutritionalist, but they fed me in the feeding tube with
Oh, it was
what
ridiculous.
was set for 153-pound
And
person.
and it was it was filled with sugar and chemicals and crap. And that's what they told you
It
had to
was
hit.
an insurance, some other junk too. But anyway, being passionate about nutrition and everything else, which we may have mentioned this before, I put amino acids. I talked to my doctor, and he had a great open mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, let's try it. No one's ever done that before. So I did that. I did liquid vitamins, liquid, the fat, D3, or not D3, the omegas, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
As you can tell, we don't rehearse this.
Yeah.
But anyway, I put all this in a feeding tube. Every time we fed, a lot of times, Michelle, my wife, we'd have to unclock it because I had so much stuff going in there.
We were putting so much stuff because it didn't matter what it tasted like. So we were trying to grind up like ground meats. Remember that? And we had like the tubes are so small because you're really only supposed to put liquid in there, which I'm sorry, you're not going to gain a good weight just, drinking 10 cans of Ensure a day. So we're putting all kinds of stuff, all kinds of different concoctions, and we would blend it in a Vitamix, and you would sometimes just sit there for like 45 minutes just because, you have like a gravity bag and it's just sitting and getting into your system.
But we learned quite a bit, and once again, the moral of the story is just because somebody tells you something
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean it's gospel. Do some research on your own. And I mean, I'm not telling you to go against your doctor's advice, but add to your doctor's advice
Mm-hmm.
because he only knows what they taught him. And
Mm-hmm.
I look at it this way. I know what's best for me when I keep trying to do different things, I can tell. And that's what we're trying to get across to you. Don't be afraid to step outside the line a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and not do something crazy. We're not telling you to do drugs or anything like that. We're saying take control of your life and get yourself headed in the right direction to be successful in whatever you want to do.
And I think, like we said too, like surrounding, yourself with good, positive people. I think that's so important. And if maybe you don't have a bunch, like just say, you have come down with something like some health issue, and you believe deep down that you can overcome it, but maybe the people around you don't. It's not that you have to cut them out, but I would try to drown out them with positive, even like listen to videos. I mean, there's enough positive motivational videos out there, and just listen to them nonstop. And event because you need to outweigh I think, what is it, like, for every negative thing you hear, you need like 10 positive things or something to like kind of switch it in your brain.
Right, which just made me realize, like, if you go to a doctor, you have something wrong and they tell you something and you don't like what they told you, go see another doctor and get another opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because doctors are great people. I know a lot of great doctors, but they're human. They make mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Heather and I, when we work with clients, putting together workouts or diets or cardio or whatever, sometimes something works great. Sometimes we got to tweak it a little bit. But that's where, once again, we're not afraid to try something and then go off in a little different direction if we need to get better results.
Mm-hmm.
And don't just get in the habit of going to listen to one doctor. And we don't want to make this all about medical, but it's just whatever it is, if people around you, like Heather said, are negative, start hanging around with somebody that's positive.
Or like, even like, change it to finances. Okay, so let's just say, you know, you want to have X amount of, like, you want a lake house, you want to have a couple rental properties, and you want to make X amount of money per year. And everyone around you is saying,
Or you want your kids to take care of you.
yeah, whatever. But like, even that, start surrounding yourself with people that have, or like, again, when I say surround yourself with people, you don't have to go out. I mean, making friends with people like that is the best option, but sometimes it's not an option for somebody at the moment. Read books about it. Start following someone that did it on Instagram, because you're gonna do is start programming that into your brain that is possible. When you might be the first person, you know, in your family that has even, like, has a job. You know, maybe everybody, you know, you're in a situation where everyone's been on welfare their whole lives, and you're the first one that's like, I think that I want better than this. But you're not going to it's going to be a lot harder to overcome that if you're not watching somebody else do it and having your brain programmed to, this is actually possible. Because a lot of people like to, like, I think a lot of people, it's not that they want to do something bad, or like,
They want to bring you down
they do,
with them.
yes, and sometimes it's not even that they're jealous. It's almost like a defense mechanism. Like, it's like they're trying to warn you, like, you know, you can't, you're going to leave us, you're going to do this, and all these like weird fears come out, and they sometimes come out in weird ways that bring people down.
Right. Like I've always say, reach up to get pulled up higher, and then reach back to help pull somebody else up with you.
Yes.
Well, I hope this helped you a little bit today, and if you have questions,
Yeah, definitely email us at info@thealphamalepodcast.com. And just, you know, whether it pertains to this podcast or past episodes, or if you even want us to answer a question in a future episode, definitely reach out and drop us an email.
thank you very much.
Yes. See you guys next time.
Right, later.
Bye.
Bye.